On air. Hoping this works. Okay. And everything should be working. So, here today, we're going to do something a little different. I don't have the technology right now to bring up graphics on the screen or anything, so we're just going to use this as a template, something cool. And I don't have a way of bringing up the names on the screen, so we're going to go ahead and do my NFL mock draft 1.0. This was a suggested video from one of my subscribers. And, you know, I love doing mock drafts, so why not? So, you may not agree with the team that the player that I picked for your team. You know, we're all going to be in disagreement. This is only the first round. No trades this time. I'm sure I'll make a video soon with trades. But let's go ahead and get into it. Number one's pretty simple for me. Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow, quarterback from LSU. I think Joe Burrow has everything you really want from a quarterback. We've seen it this season at LSU. I mean, he had one of the best historic seasons in college football history, not just in the program, in history. And throwing for 60 touchdowns, almost 6,000 yards. And he led his team to a national championship. So you're getting a winner. You're getting everything you want in a quarterback all in one. But, I mean, the upside is all there. But the downside to this pick is he is technically a one-year wonder. I mean, is he going to translate what he did at LSU over to the NFL? I hope so. I'm really rooting for Joe Burrow, but I mean, they got some talent on this Bengals team. They got A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, John Ross if they bring him back. You still got Tyler Eifert if they bring him back as well. Giovanni Bernard. Young offensive line. So, I mean, I definitely think the Bengals have the pieces to build around Burrow. They just got to commit to winning. So, and now we'll go to the number 2 overall pick. We got the Washington Redskins. No one, I'm sure, has made a mock draft this odd before. I know it's kind of weird, but we're going to roll with it. The Washington Redskins, it's another simple pick for me. I think realistically they could trade down with a team like, I would say, Miami. Miami comes up, snags Tua. They go Jeff Okudah at 5 or something like that because their secondary is awful. But no trades in this mock draft, so I'm going to go with Chase Young, edge rusher from Ohio State. Ryan Kerrigan, as you see there on the screen, he's getting older. And they already have Montez Sweat. They have Matt Ioannidis. They have Jonathan Allen. They have Daron Payne. They have such a good defensive line. And they are switching to a 4-3 defense under Jack Del Rio. So, I mean, Ioannidis, Allen, and Payne are all going to play on the inside. I mean, technically you could rush Ioannidis in situations on the outside, but you're going to have Sweat and Young coming off the edge, and then Ryan Kerrigan. I mean, pass rushing potential is all there for the Redskins defensively, and I think Ron Rivera is going to make this defense way better. Hopefully he doesn't keep Josh Norman, but we'll see. But yeah, that was my pick to the Redskins, Chase Young. And at number 3 overall, let's go ahead and find them here. We're going to go, here they are, Detroit Lions, number 3 overall. Kind of surprising they're picking here. I mean, Matthew Stafford. Excuse me, guys. Tired today. Matthew Stafford did go down with an injury really early, midway through the season. He was having one of his best historic years to date in Detroit before he went down with the injury. And I don't think it's going to be quarterback here. I really don't. I don't think they would go to a Tagovailoa here. I don't care about the rumors. They're just throwing it out there so that teams want to move up. I definitely think that the Redskins and Lions are 2 teams that are going to trade out of their picks. But that's for a different story. I do think that the Lions are going to go with the best player on the board. and I think that's Jeff Okudah, corner from Ohio State. I think this guy has perfect man coverage skills, the way Patricia likes his corners to play. Good instincts on the football, knows how to play tough. Just kind of has that blue collar vibe to him, what Detroit kind of is. Blue collar city. Patricia likes to run that man coverage a lot, like I said. Okudah fits his system perfectly well. So at number 4, we have the New York Football Giants. And I'm going to have them selecting Jedrick Wills Jr., the offensive tackle from Alabama, most likely to play right tackle for them. They do still have Nate Solder on the left side. I've heard rumors about them moving Solder inside, but that wouldn't make sense because you have Hernandez at left guard. I honestly don't know who you have at center, to be honest. And then at right guard, you have Zeitler. So, unless they move him to center, which it wouldn't really make sense. But I'm going to have him taking Jedrick Wills Jr. from Alabama. I just think that he can play right side for right now. Nate Solder can play left side. And then maybe second, third round, you go and find a center for the future, like a Darrell Williams or something from Mississippi State. And just kind of develop off of that. And then eventually, when Nate Solder either gets cut, traded, I don't think he would have any trade value at this point. He gets cut, retires, whatever. You can move Willis over to the left side. That's if you haven't addressed the left side already via the draft or free agency. So I think with his skill set, Jedrick Wills, he's so athletic. He's probably the best offensive lineman, in my opinion, in this draft. Best tackle, I think. So, number 5 overall pick, we do have the Miami Dolphins. I don't know. I'm hearing these reports that Tua Tagovailoa, however you want to call it. I'm hearing that the owner, Stephen Ross, I believe that's his name, is very concerned with Tua's injury. And Tua could make a full recovery, be ready by the start of the season. But reports coming out, wherever he goes, it's going to be a redshirt season. Miami, you already got Fitzpatrick or Josh Rosen. I would count on Fitzpatrick being the starter next year. You look at a team like the Chargers, they got Tyrod Taylor. Panthers, that could be a situation where they just start Will Grier or Kyle Allen, let Tua get healthy. Wild card out there is Jacksonville. You let Gardner Minshew start the first half of the season, see how he's doing, let Tua get healthy. There's so many teams that are in need of a quarterback that, Tua can go to and sit behind a mentor. Like a Fitzpatrick, like a Jacoby Brissett, like a Gardner Minshew, Nick Foles. So, I'm going to go to Tagovailoa here, quarterback from Alabama. I think the Dolphins eventually are going to find out that the hip isn't as serious as everyone thinks it is, and he's going to make a full recovery. And he can just sit behind Fitzpatrick for a year, or Josh Rosen, whatever their preference is, and just learn the ins and outs of their system, of Chan Gailey's system, which Brian Flores hired this offseason so far. And I think he had Chad O'Shea. Chad O'Shea is his offensive coordinator last year. Fired him after the season and brought in Chan Gailey. And Chan Gailey already has a relationship with the quarterback there right now, Ryan Fitzpatrick, back in his Fitzmagic days in Buffalo. So, and with the Jets. So going to number 6, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to go Justin Herbert, quarterback from Oregon. This guy has one of the most gifted arms I've ever seen. From me scouting, I've only been scouting for about 3 years now. I've been doing mock drafts for probably longer than that. Just always loved this part of the year. But I've been really scouting for the last 3 years. And, I've seen guys like Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen. Josh Allen's at the top. you know, and so is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen are two of the most gifted throwers of the football I've ever seen, uh, that I've seen scouting. I'm not saying ever. I'm saying that I've scouted. And I just think that Herbert has so much potential, man. He has athleticism. He has the arm power. He has accuracy, good accuracy. But the thing about him is he's not consistent. And, you know, some question his passion of football, you know. He did go back his senior year this year to Oregon. He could have declared last year and been a top 5 pick. But he wanted to refine his craft. And plenty of scouts will tell you he doesn't look like a different player. He didn't look like he took that next step, you know. But talent aside, I think he's going to be a top 10 pick. You don't have this talent and not go in the top 10. Same questions were about Josh Allen. Consistency. His thing was accuracy. I think Herbert's accuracy is a little bit better than Josh Allen. But I do think that Herbert will find himself in the top 10 come late April. And then at number 7, we do have the Carolina Panthers. This is very unconventional, I know, but this is what we're going to do. Carolina Panthers. So the Panthers are an interesting team, man. Let me go ahead and check my messages here. See if it's something about the audio. I hope y'all can hear the audio good. See if it's something about the audio. Sorry, I'm late. No, you're good, man. You're good. But getting back to the Panthers pick at number 7, I'm gonna have them go Isaiah Simmons. You know, Luke Kuechly retired in the offseason, surprisingly, but most say not because of his concussion history and everything. I think Isaiah Simmons is the pick here for the Carolina Panthers. He's a freakish athlete, can play linebacker, safety, nickel corner. I mean, this guy can rush off the edge. He's pretty much the whole package, you know, and a player that you would definitely want on defense if you're Matt Rule. And I think that the Panthers are going to be rebuilding slowly but surely. This could be an offensive lineman. I would not be shocked to see this be like a Mekhi Becton or Andrew Thomas here to really solidify the offensive line. But I think they got to go linebacker. They got to get a difference maker on that defense for the long term. And I don't think that's Shaq Thompson. I mean, Shaq Thompson's a great player. He's a good player. Maybe not great. But Isaiah Simmons has the potential to be one of the best linebackers we've ever seen. Just from a physical tool set, you know. But yeah, that's my pick for Carolina. We went with Isaiah Simmons. At number 8, we are going to select for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals are interesting. I think that they need protection for Kyler Murray. They could pair him up with CeeDee Lamb, who he went to college with, the wide receiver at Oklahoma. Jerry Jeudy from Alabama, the receiver. But they could go Derek Brown, defensive tackle. They have so many picks that they could go with here. And I think they're going to go with Mekhi Becton, offensive tackle from Louisville. This guy's a monster. I believe he's like 6'7", 360 pounds. He moves like he's 260. I mean, this guy is just so gifted athletically. The way he's able to move and the way he's able to just protect the quarterback. So I think that Cliff Kingsbury will find that very intriguing. Could go with a guy like Josh Jones here. Fits in that air raid scheme a little bit better than you could say Mekhi Becton. But I just think just the physical tool and the mauler that Mekhi Becton is, I think that that's the perfect pick for the Cardinals. And I think that that's going to be the selection. And then at number 9 overall, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. One of their 2 picks in the first round. I'm gonna have them going CeeDee Lamb here. They already have DJ Chark, who is a really fast player on the outside, but they don't have that guy that they can just throw screens to and he can take it to the house. I mean, Chark was throwing screens last year and he wasn't very successful with it. So I think that they need that legitimate number one deep threat, and I think CeeDee Lamb has all the tools that you want. He's a great route runner. He's a great catcher of the football. I think he's a little better than Jerry Jeudy in that aspect. That's why I have CeeDee Lamb as my number one wide receiver. And I think the Jaguars, like I said, just need that number one presence on the field and more speed for Gardner Minshew or Nick Foles. So they could have gone defense here. I wouldn't be surprised to see a guy like Javon Kinlaw, the defensive tackle from South Carolina, Derek Brown, defensive tackle from Auburn. I mean, you could see quite a few selections here, offensive tackle even. But I'm going to go ahead and go with CeeDee Lamb, the receiver from Oklahoma. I think that's perfect fit, pairing him with DJ Chark and Dede Westbrook. And you already potentially have your franchise quarterback and running back. So be looking pretty good. And then at number 10, we're going to go to the Cleveland Browns. This is a pretty easy selection for me. I'm going to go with Andrew Thomas here, offensive tackle from Georgia. I think from just the fact of being an offensive tackle, just doing it all, pass protecting, run blocking, I think Andrew Thomas is your guy. I do think Jedrick Wills, like I said, he's a little ahead of him. And Mekhi Becton, I know, went 2 spots earlier than him, but that's just from the physical tool set that Mekhi Becton has. But Andrew Thomas is a very solid player. I mean, he started all the way from his freshman to senior year. I mean, just got better each year after year, and that's what Baker Mayfield needs. He needs to be protected. You've seen it last year, him scrambling out of the pocket and just making bad decisions. I mean, what's funny is, in a clean pocket, I think Baker Mayfield threw more interceptions than when he was in a bad pocket. And it makes no sense. But I think bringing Andrew Thomas in, can play him left or right side. Depends on if you want to bring Greg Robinson back in some weird world. But I think Andrew Thomas is the perfect pick to solidify this offensive line and protect Baker Mayfield on his blind side or on his right side. I mean, it just depends. But at number 11, I'm going to have another offensive lineman coming off the board here, and I think offensive linemen are going to fly off the board really early. As you've seen, we've had 3 tackles go in the top 10, and now we're going to have 4 in the top 11. And for the Jets, I'm going to give them Tristan Wirfs from Iowa. I mean, this guy can play tackle, which I think the Jets would probably play him at tackle, probably left tackle. But he really projects as a guard at the next level, but he can play both positions, just like Andrew Thomas, which I kind of forgot to mention on. I think Tristan Wirfs and Andrew Thomas are your guys that you can flex to tackle or guard. And then Wills and Becton are guys that I think are going to play on the edge. They're more of tackles. But with Tristan Wirfs, you get that versatility. And, I mean, I know they like Chuma Edoga, who they drafted, I forget what round last year, from USC. I know they want him to be the right tackle. So, I mean, bring in a guy like Wirfs, can play him at left tackle, left guard. I mean, you have Brian Winters at right guard, so, and I think they're good at center. So, I mean, left guard, left tackle for Wirfs. I mean, he's a mauler. I mean, he's not your Mekhi Becton, but he knows how to get it done. He knows how to keep a pocket clean. So I think Tristan Wirfs would be a good value pick here for the Jets at number 11. And at number 12, we are going to the Las Vegas Raiders. Don't mind that it says Oakland. But this is the first of 2 picks for the Raiders in this draft. So I'm going to go Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver from Alabama. They lost Antonio Brown in the offseason, before the season even started, really, preseason, I guess you could say. He didn't want to play there. And Antonio Brown gave up on the Raiders, so they traded him to the Patriots. And John Gruden never got to have that number 1 receiver that he was wanting. It's not going to be Tyrell Williams. It's not going to be Hunter Renfrow. I think those are your 2 and 3. I think that's your receiver 2 and 3, but I don't think that's going to be your number 1 receiver. And I think Jerry Jeudy, the best route runner in this class by far. I just think CeeDee Lamb catches the football more consistently than Jeudy. It makes more big plays, but I mean the route running of Judy just compares to Antonio Brown in a way. You know, I'm not saying he's Antonio Brown. I'm not gonna say he's Julio Jones. Um, I think he's more along the lines of a Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, right in the middle of that. And Jerry Judy's just a special player, and I think John Gruden would love his work ethic. I mean, people have compared him to Marvin Harrison. That's how good this guy is. And I think that's exactly the type of player that John Gruden wants in Las Vegas. So at number 13, this is where it gets interesting. This is definitely where it gets interesting. I'm going to have the Colts here selecting Jordan Love, quarterback from Utah State. You can't judge this guy based off of this last season. If you go back and watch the 2018 tape, when he had the right head coach, had the right offensive coordinator, had decent receivers, this guy was a potential top 5 pick. And then all of his receivers leave, all of his good receivers leave, and he's basically playing with number 3 wide receivers. And his head coach leaves, I believe, and his offensive coordinator. I mean, everyone leaves. And this guy still had a productive year. I mean, he showed flashes of arm talent. I mean, this guy has tremendous arm strength. He has tremendous athleticism. I mean, there are some things that you got to fix. Consistency, accuracy. I mean, he's basically, I'm not going to compare him to Patrick Mahomes like some people. I don't think he's anywhere close to Patrick Mahomes. I mean, sure, the upside is there, especially when you have good enough talent like the Colts do at offensive line, at receiver, at running back. Good defense, good enough defense. Sure, the upside is there to potentially get the Colts to the next level very soon, sooner than people may think. But I think that Jordan Love compares more to Josh Allen. Okay, the Bills were a lot less talented than the Colts of what Jordan Love would be going into than Josh Allen had when he went into Buffalo. But I just think from a kind of a comparison, Jordan Love compares more to Josh Allen than Patrick Mahomes. Maybe not the athleticism of Josh Allen, because Josh Allen is a big man with wheels, man. He's great running the football. But Jordan Love, he's slept on, man. I think this would be a great pick for the Colts. If you don't think he's ready, you have Jacoby Brissett under contract for one more year. I mean, why not? Why not try and invest into a future franchise quarterback? I mean, who knows? You might not ever be picking this early again for another 10 years, and you won't ever have that chance because your team is good. The Colts are good. They just need that difference maker at quarterback that Jacoby Brissett couldn't give them, which Brissett can teach Jordan Love everything he needs to know. So I think this is a great pick here for the Colts. At number 14, we're going to go to another interesting team here. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What will they do at the quarterback position is the question everyone is asking. You're going to lose tons of defensive linemen. Ndamukong Suh is a free agent. Jason Pierre-Paul. Shaq Barrett is a free agent who led the league in sacks this year, coming out of nowhere on a one-year prove-it deal. So you got to make a decision. I mean, are you going to franchise tag Jameis Winston for one season? Shaq Barrett? I mean, that's the interesting thing. Who are you going to give the long-term contract to? Obviously, it's going to be Shaq Barrett. I don't think there's any way they don't give him a long-term contract. Unless they let Winston walk into free agency and they just franchise tag Barrett. I mean, that'd be an interesting play, but I think that they're going to franchise tag Jameis Winston. I really do. Either that or they're going to give him a 2-year deal, 2-year prove-it deal, and just say, hey, you got another year or two, so go out there and show us what you got. We're going to improve the team around you, improve the offensive line. You already got the weapons receiver-wise. Running back could be an upgrade in the offseason, maybe like a Kareem Hunt, someone like that. But I think that they're going to bring back Jameis Winston. So this is why I made this pick here. I do think they're going to go with Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle from South Carolina. This guy is just a freak, man. I mean, just the way he plays at his weight. I mean, it's amazing the way he just powers through blockers. I mean, he really does have the upside of potentially an Aaron Donald. Not saying he's Aaron Donald, but he could be a similar player, have a similar impact on the Buccaneers that Aaron Donald did. And the Buccaneers do play in a 3-4, so I would expect him to play on one of the defensive end spots and have Vita Vea be the nose tackle. And you would obviously need to bring in another defensive end because Shaq Barrett, Levante David, and then you have Kendall Beckwith and Devin White at your linebacker core. So I think Javon Kinlaw sliding over to 3-4 end, rushing the passer, stopping the run. I mean, he does it all well. I mean, there's still some growing that he has to do, but I think this is a perfect selection. I think Todd Bowles would be all over this, as he could potentially be the next head coach in Tampa Bay as soon as Bruce Arians retires in a few years. So I think that's a pretty good pick. Denver Broncos. There's no way they're passing him up, man. Henry Ruggs, the third wide receiver from Alabama. They got to get a guy opposite of Courtland Sutton. They could get one in free agency, like an Amari Cooper, maybe. But I just don't think John Elway's going to go into free agency and get a receiver. I think it's going to be free agency. They're going to focus on the offensive line, improving that. And then they're going to go and attack the draft for defensive lineman, wide receiver, linebacker, potentially corner. I mean, there's all kinds of places on the defensive side of the football that the Broncos could address in the draft. So I think that they're going to do that in the later rounds in free agency. So here I got to go, like I said, Henry Ruggs, the third wide receiver from Alabama. He matches perfectly with Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton is more of a physical receiver on the outside. They need that guy that's just going to burn through the defense. This guy's going to run in the 4.2s at the combine. So I think that Henry Ruggs on the other side with Courtland Sutton, Noah Fant up the middle. And then you also have Deshaun Hamilton. You have a good running back in Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman. And Drew Lock is going to be all over this pick because he's going to have playmakers around him like Patrick Mahomes did in Kansas City. So I think Henry Ruggs could give Drew Lock a season like Mahomes had. Maybe not as great, but I mean, Drew Lock's first season fully starting. I mean, he's got all these weapons around him, got a still pretty good defense. Might be aging, but it is good. But Henry Ruggs is just so fast, and I just think he's a good catcher. He's not more than just, he's not a John Ross. He can actually catch. So Henry Ruggs there to the Broncos. Number 16 overall, it's going to be the Atlanta Falcons here. And I'm going to have the Falcons going Derek Brown, defensive tackle, Auburn. Could have gone with A.J. Epineza here if they wanted to go corner. Could have gone C.J. Henderson. Safety, Xavier McKinney, Grant Delpit. But I just don't think they pass up on a player like Derek Brown. I mean, having him and Grady Jarrett in the middle of that defense, stopping the run, getting to the pass, getting to the quarterback before the pass. And I just think Atlanta, there's no really good explanation here. I mean, they have to take the best player available on the defensive line, edge rusher available. So I think that's Derek Brown. He's a top 5 pick. If there wasn't all these offensive linemen going and, you know, quarterbacks, receivers, all that stuff. So Derek Brown goes here 216 to the Atlanta Falcons. Number 17 is the Dallas Cowboys. I thought really hard back and forth between this pick. We do still have Xavier McKinney, Grant Delpit on the board. Could go one of those two. Could go C.J. Henderson, Trayvon Diggs. Could go defensive lineman, which I don't think the value really fits here. Receiver could be a sneaky option, but I do think it's going to be Xavier McKinney, the safety from Alabama. This guy is so fluid, getting to the line and stopping runs. He's just a versatile defensive back. He can play corner, nickel corner for you. He can play safety. He can play that money backer kind of role. I just think Xavier McKinney is going to be a really good player for this Dallas defense. They're lacking that certain edge and discipline to the back end of their secondary. Not saying Jeff Heath isn't disciplined or Xavier Woods, but just bringing in a playmaker like Xavier McKinney that could potentially replace Byron Jones. I mean, I just think it's a perfect fit when it comes to maturity and just attacking the football. That's what the Cowboys need. They need a safety that can just go after it, man. They need that. So, at number 18, it's going to be the Miami Dolphins on the clock again. And I think they got to take their offensive tackle of the future. I think this is going to be Josh Jones from Houston. I considered A.J. Epineza here, but I just think offensive line is so much more important to this football team. They have to protect whoever's playing quarterback, whether it's Tua, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Josh Rosen. They have to protect the quarterback. And yes, Josh Jones isn't the most elite tackle prospect, but at the Senior Bowl, he looked great. He looked much more improved than he did, at the beginning of the start of the college season at Houston. But I just think Josh Jones, he's so athletic. I mean, he literally, I've heard this comparison, which I'm going to use, Andre Dillard. Andre Dillard from last year from Washington State. I mean, he was so athletic, so big, and, he's an athletic playmaker. I mean, at the offensive line position. So I think the Dolphins can't pass up on a potential left tackle of the future. That's crazy if you do. So now we got the Oakland Raiders here, who we had taken Jerry Jeudy at number 12. Now they're back on the clock here at 19. Went over this in my head. Could go edge. Could go D-line. Could go offensive tackle as a surprise. There's no one on the board left. And then could go corner, which I don't think linebacker. I'm not drafting a linebacker this early if I'm Las Vegas. And I might have said Oakland a while ago. It's going to take some getting used to. But my thing is, they have Jonathan Abram. I believe they're going to let go of Carl Joseph. And I believe they have LaMarcus Joyner too. But I think Jonathan Abram's really going to be more of like a nickel corner for them. And like a money backer type role. I don't think he's going to be, I just think he's going to be used in special ways coming back from an injury season. Plague season, I guess you could say. I think they're going to go Grant Delpit here. I just think John Gruden's going to fall in love with his mentality. I think Grant Delpit is a Gruden grinder. It might have not showed during the season at LSU, his tackling. Some people questioned his work ethic. Like, hey, I'm a top 10 pick. I don't need to try hard. I think Grant Delpit, John Gruden will sit down and talk with Delpit, Mike Mayock, whoever they got going on in there, and they'll talk to Delpit, and they'll be like, hey, why did you take off on this play? Why did you take off on these plays? And I think they'll get to a common ground, and I think that Delpit will be the selection here for the Oakland Raiders, and he'll be a perfect fit. Just imagine, John Abraham, Grant Delpit, LaMarcus Joyner, Trayvon Mullen, Daryl Worley. You got all kinds of players, and it has disconnected. Sorry about that, guys. Shoot. But yeah, you have all kinds of players that can work for you. And Grant Delpit, I just think, is going to be the selection to the Raiders. And we'll get to the Jaguars' second pick as soon as this thing loads. I honestly didn't think it would back out of that. I'm online, so my bad. Here we go. Alright, so yeah, Delpit's the pick to Las Vegas. And at number 20, with the Jaguars' second pick, we had them going CeeDee Lamb at number 9. We're going to have them going... Ooh, man. Could take Epineza here. Epineza would be a pretty good fit, but... They gotta replace Jalen Ramsey, man. It's gonna be C.J. Henderson for me. C.J. Henderson is the second best corner in this class to me. He's just amazing in coverage. I mean, he's more of a man guy than his own guy. I mean, he's just so sticky against defenders. He's able to just be physical, and I just think that that's what the Jaguars are going to be looking for a Jalen Ramsey replacement. He doesn't talk much. He doesn't talk at all, really, like Jalen Ramsey, nowhere near. I mean, he's a very quiet and respectful player. Some teams, might not like that, but I think the Jaguars are going to go on the side of caution this time and be like, hey, we need to get this player that, he's going to be one of our best players, but he's not going to go out there talking shit every game, and giving a distraction to the team. So C.J. Henderson to the Jaguars, I think that's a great fit. So they pick up CeeDee Lamb and C.J. Henderson in the draft. And then at number 21, we got the Philadelphia Eagles here. It's receiver all day. Now, your top three receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, and Henry Ruggs III, are off the board. Now, in a trade video, I think the Eagles do trade up and get Henry Ruggs or CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy. One of those three, I really do. I think their GM is so aggressive. They want to win now. They want to win another Super Bowl. Prove that Carson Wentz was not a bust at number 2. And I just think that going out and getting a top-tier receiver will help this team tremendously. Now, they have secondary issues. You can address that free agency, which I don't know if they have really any money, and then later in the draft. So I think, I think I'm going to give Philadelphia here. I'm going to give them Jalen Reagor, wide receiver from TCU. I think he's really being slept on as a prospect. I know he didn't have the best season this past season, but look at the quarterback he was playing. Go back and watch his 2018 tape. I mean, this dude is electrifying. He can return kicks. He can beat any guy downfield. I mean, he is so fast. He might be the second fastest player to Henry Ruggs in this class. And I just think that he is a playmaker that the Eagles desperately need. They need speed. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, or Sega, whatever. I've heard people pronounce it very weird. I'm not going to get into that. But he sucks. He sucks, Eagles fans. He's so slow. I mean, he just doesn't know. He's not good right now. Maybe he'll develop into something. But you got Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson. You add in Jalen Reagor. I mean, this team could be really good next year. You got Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard. I just think Jalen Reagor, his speed really fits. And with Henry Ruggs being off the board, he's the next fastest receiver in my opinion. Could go KJ Hamler too. That's a sleeper pick there. And then at pick number 22, we got the Buffalo Bills. Another team desperate, in need of a wide receiver. Could go edge rusher here. Like an AJ Epineza. Could go Caleb Chase on. But I'm going to go with T. Higgins, wide receiver from Clemson. I think that T. Higgins gives them the size and catch radius that this team doesn't have. They have smaller receivers like John Brown, who is your deep threat, fast as hell. Cole Beasley, reliable slot target, and they need that other guy on the outside that Josh Allen can just be inaccurate as hell with, and just throw it up. Let T. Higgins go and catch the football. I think T. Higgins makes so much sense here to the Buffalo Bills, and Josh Allen is thrilled. Number 23, we have the New England Patriots. Now, we don't know if Tom Brady is coming back or not. We don't know. But I'm going on the presumption that he's not coming back. And I'm going to have them taking KJ Hamler here, wide receiver from Penn State. I think that KJ Hamler gives them the speed that they do not have in a guy like N'Keal Harry that they drafted last year. I think that KJ Hamler coming in just gives them the stuff that they need. He can return kicks. He can catch the football very well, and he's so fast. Such a quick player, and I think that he would fit tremendously in this offense, which I think in free agency they're going to bring in. Maybe they trade for like a Jacoby Brissett, bring him back to New England. Could go and get Andy Dalton But he needs, whoever the quarterback is, they need a quick receiver to go down the field, get past defenders, something they lacked this year. And I think that's what really killed them because their defense was good until they came up against good competition. But, I mean, even then, I mean, they weren't terrible. So I think the really only need here is you could take quarterback, Jacob Eason or Jake Fromm. You could go, defensive tackle, Getur Gross Matos, AJ Epineza. I just don't think they do that. Got him going KJ Hamler here. And pick number 25, or pick number 24, excuse me, New Orleans Saints. I'm going to have them go Laviska Shenault here. I think Laviska Shenault is just the exact playmaker that Sean Payton wants. I think Shenault will be perfect in this offense with Taysom Hill. Could you imagine in a few years, Taysom Hill, Laviska Shenault, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara all together running these packages, man? I mean, that is insane to think about. And Laviska Shenault came out and said that his favorite play is the direct snap. So, he likes to line up at quarterback and run the ball. So, I mean, that's just perfect. It makes so much sense for Laviska Shenault in this spot. And I think that, in my opinion, I think that's a lock. I'll go as far as saying it's a lock for the Saints to get Laviska Shenault if he's still there on the board. Number 25, the Minnesota Vikings. Two positions here that I'm looking at. I'm looking at corner and I'm looking at defensive lineman. I'm not looking at quarterback. Yes, you could look at quarterback, but I would rather wait, maybe draft a guy like a Nate Stanley from Iowa, Jalen Hurts from Oklahoma, someone in the later rounds. But defensive lineman, corner, I would prefer corner over defensive lineman. I know that they kind of passed on defensive line last year when they probably should have taken it because their run defense was awful last year. And it got exposed in the NFC Divisional against 49ers. They were able to run it down the throats. But I'm going to go corner here. And this makes too much sense, man. This is crazy. Stephon Diggs' brother, Trayvon Diggs, plays at Alabama. And guess what? He's a corner. I'm going to go with Trayvon Diggs from Alabama. It makes too much sense. And it's just a connection, man. I mean, that would be insane. But I just think there's no way if he's still on the board, they're not taking him, And at pick 26, we have their third pick of the first round, and that is the Miami Dolphins, picking up Tua Tagovailoa, Josh Jones, the offensive tackle. Now you go and get your playmaker on defense. Yes, I know he slid all the way down the board. AJ Epineza, edge defender, edge rusher from Iowa. I think he's a Brian Flores type guy. He's this Trey Flowers. He's a versatile end. I mean, he's not going to get you 20 sacks in the season, but he's going to be a solid producer. I would say like an 8 to 10 sack guy every year, and maybe like a 12 to 14 tackles for loss type of guy. I mean, he has that potential. He's just a consistent player, and I think this guy is a safe pick for the Dolphins, and they need safe picks to build a foundation for the future. So Epineza goes here to 26 to the Dolphins, and Dolphins fans got to be happy. You get Tua, your future quarterback. You get Josh Jones, your franchise left tackle. And you get A.J. Epineza, your franchise defensive end. I think that would be an A-plus draft grade for me. And then at pick number 27, we do have the Seattle Seahawks. I've thought about this pick quite a lot. And I'm going Caleb Von Chase on edge rusher from LSU. I don't know if Clowney's coming back. I mean, he showed at times, yes, he's an elite pass rusher, but honestly, he wasn't that effective for the Seahawks last year. There was that one game against the 49ers where he went off. But then, other than that, the Philadelphia game was interesting, but I don't know, man. I don't know if we should bring Clowney back. I know they traded, I forget what they traded to Houston. Oh, shoot. But Clowney, man, I don't know if he's coming back, but even if he does, you need another pass rusher opposite of Clowney to rush the passer. And I think Caleb Von Chason fits what Pete Carroll wants. He's a high energy dude. He's just going to be a perfect fit in Seattle. And then at pick 28, we do have the best team in the league. Was the best team in the league before they went one and done in the playoffs. The Baltimore Ravens, who went 14-2 this year under Lamar Jackson, had a great season. This is interesting. Could go receiver. I would look at a guy like Justin Jefferson. But I think their biggest need is edge rusher, man. I think their biggest need is edge rusher. And if I go ahead and look at my board here, the edge rushers available are Curtis Weaver, Zach Bond. We have, let's see, John Grenard, Terrell Lewis, Yetur Gross-Matos, Julian Okwara. Let's see, Khalid Kareem, Notre Dame. I'm going to say they get Terrell Lewis from Alabama. I think Terrell Lewis fits kind of what they like. They like disciplined players from Alabama, tough, knows players, knows how to get the job done, and they need an edge rusher bad, man. And I think Terrell Lewis is going to be a slept-on prospect because you have good edge rushers in front of him. Like, I know Matos isn't even off the board yet, but you have Matos, you have Chase Young, obviously. AJ Epineza, Caleb on Chason. You have all these players, and I think Terrell Lewis is kind of getting lost on the shuffle. I think Terrell Lewis is the best pick here for the Ravens. They go back to their roots, get an Alabama prospect. He'll do good. Could go linebacker there too, but I'm still not comfortable taking a linebacker. And then at number 29, we have the Tennessee Titans, another team that could use an edge rusher. It's definitely going to be edge for the Tennessee Titans. And I think it's either between Curtis Weaver or Yetur Gross-Matos. And I'm going to go with Yetur Gross-Matos. I think they go upside here. Gross-Matos was better the previous year than he was this season. But 20 tackles for loss, man. If you think about that number, that is insane. That's Aaron Donald type numbers. So I think if you pair him with Harold Landry, I mean, you have two great upside players for the future rushing off the edge. And plus, he can learn from Cam Wake. I mean, it all fits kind of perfectly together. So Tennessee gets an edge rusher there at number 29. And then we have the Green Bay Packers at number 30. Shout out to my Packers subscriber about this pick. Wide receiver, man. Wide receiver. I'm going Justin Jefferson. If you watched the Packers rebuild last night, we went ahead and got Justin Jefferson, wide receiver from LSU. I think Justin Jefferson can play in the slot. Packers need help, man, at receiver. They got to get Aaron Rodgers more targets to throw to. You could look linebacker here. I think linebacker is an interesting spot y'all could look at. Offensive line, tight end. I don't know if I said tight end already, but Justin Jefferson is my pick here to the Packers. I just think he's still on the board, man. You got to take him. You got to take him to pair him with Devontae Adams and the other receivers that are there. Like I always forget his name. Valdez Scantling. I can't remember his first name. But Valdez Scantling and I don't know. I don't know many Packers receivers, to be honest. And then number 31, I think this is going to be a trade back team. But we got San Francisco here. And let's see what I got on my board left for them. I think they need to go secondary here. Could shock the world and go wide receiver. Could even go tackle here. Interior offensive line. But there's a guy that's still here on my board. That it is insane that he's still here. But I think from the national title game, him struggling, Christian Fulton, corner LSU. I think the 49ers have to address secondary, whether that's safety, whether that's corner, they have to address it. So I think with all these different defensive players going, with all the offensive tackles, receivers, quarterbacks, and we didn't have a running back here in the first round, but I think they have to go Christian Fulton here. And then at number 32, finishing it up, wrapping up my mock draft 1.0, is the Kansas City Chiefs. It'll be interesting to see if Sammy Watkins leaves in free agency. They could add a receiver, but I expect them to go later rounds with receiver because they've shown they don't like drafting receivers in the first round. So, I think it's either going to be 3 positions. Defensive line, edge rusher, which, not defensive line, but edge rusher, linebacker, secondary. And there are 2 good linebackers on the board. You have Kenneth Murray and you have Patrick Queen. But I don't have a first round grade on either one of those players. But a guy that I do have a first round grade on is a corner by the name of Jeff Gladney from TCU. And this guy can fly, man. This guy has so good, tremendous speed, man. He can keep up with any receiver. You know, he's still got a few things to work on with his coverage, but he's an exceptional athlete. I think Kansas City is all about speed, man. And I think Gladney fits right into that, man. So this guy's going to be a good pick for the Chiefs. So going over the draft, we had Joe Burrow go number 1 to the Bengals. We had Chase Young going to the Redskins. We had Jeff Okudah going to the Lions. Jedrick Wills going to the Giants. At number 5, we had Tua Tagovailoa to the Dolphins. Number 6, we had Justin Herbert, quarterback from Oregon. Number 7, Panthers went and got Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker from Clemson. Hybrid, kinda. And then number 8, Arizona went out and got Mekhi Becton, offensive tackle from Louisville. Number 9, we got the Jaguars' CeeDee Lamb. And number 10, Cleveland goes ahead and takes Andrew Thomas. But there are your top 10 picks and the rest of the draft. If you want to know the rest of the picks, go ahead and go back and watch the video through. It'll be in my new mock draft playlist that I'm going to upload right after this video ends. So if y'all enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on them post notifications. If you like more videos like this, there will be more coming soon. We also do Madden 20 rebuilds, NBA 2K20 rebuilds. We also have a franchise series on here, the Detroit Lions Motor City Quest franchise. So go ahead and check that out. And P.S. guys, if y'all did watch the franchise episodes 9, 10, and 11 from earlier that I posted all in one session, my audio didn't record for some reason. So that's probably why there's a testing video up on my YouTube channel right now that says testing with a exclamation mark. Because I was testing to see if my mic worked again, which I hope it did. Because I just got done saying a lot of words, and if y'all didn't hear that, y'all just think I'm flickering through the screen to different teams. But anyways, guys, y'all have a great night, and I should be uploading a Madden rebuild in no time, and maybe a 2K rebuild, we'll see. But anyways, guys, peace out. Love y'all.